Hello, everybody, and welcome to our very first episode of Coast to Coast with Coach Miller. Matt Bowling here alongside the man himself, head coach Austin Miller. Coach, it is finally game week, season opener against Arkansas this weekend. You guys are coming off a pretty long preseason training camp, had an intra-squad scrimmage in there. Give me kind of your feelings on the team as you come out of the preseason.
Yeah, we're obviously excited to kind of get going here and play some real games. We've been practicing for quite some time now. Feeling is that the guys are just, ready to play in an actual game after not playing, all last year. Guys are excited and ready to go. So the feeling's good. The locker room's good. Guys are, stoked to kind of get moving.
Now, Arkansas, for those who've been following the team for a few years now, they may remember Arkansas was once a WCHL opponent of ours, but they moved down to Division III. This will be their third season down in Division III. You played them in 2019. That was their first year when they still had a bunch of D1 guys, and it ended up being a pair of one-goal games at Blazers Ice Center. So are you expecting a similarly competitive matchups now that some of those guys have moved on?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know that they are playing at the Division III level, but I know they still get a lot of the same kind of caliber players that they were getting when they were a Division I team. So, we're expecting some very good games this weekend, and if we're not ready to play and don't come out with our foot on the gas, it's going to be a long game and a long weekend for us.
All right, now this weekend will mark finally your official head coaching debut after last season was canceled. How are you feeling?
Excited. Technically I got a game in, or a game and a half 2 years ago when Josh was here, and he got suspended for a game and a half. So technically I've dipped my toe in the water, but excited to be completely at the helm and kind of have the chance to put my stamp on things. So definitely excited, ready to kind of move past that and get going on with the rest of the season.
Now, I know, obviously not getting to play last season was not what anybody wanted, but, as a first-time head coach, technically first-time head coach,
Yeah.
did you find any positives in having that extra year?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, it was good to kind of, get my feet wet with, practices and stuff like that. But at the same time, we didn't do the fact that we were, shut down for the second semester and knew that we weren't going to ever be able to play in any kind of games. We only got to really practice the first semester. And with that, we weren't doing the type of practices that we're doing now with systems and, that type of stuff. So there wasn't a whole lot that we could, build from as far as a staff goes or first time head coach. But anytime you can, get anything in that you haven't done before, it's going to help you in the long run. So it helps some. It would have been, nice to be able to practice a full season and that type of thing, but we weren't able to, and those are the cards we're dealt, and we're ready to go this season.
All right. Now, the WCHL coaches poll just came out this week. They did not rank them by division. They just ranked all 10 in kind of one pool. OU ended up ranked 6th in that coaches poll. So any thoughts you'd like to share about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to rank people in the preseason, right? It just is. I mean, you can't. Every coach isn't going to do a due diligence to go and look at, the returners they have, who actually came back per roster, what type of recruits they've had, and stuff like that. So it's a lot of it is just kind of piecing together with what they saw, 2 years ago, and kind of moving on and, thinking that's where they'll be to start this year. And so I don't really it doesn't carry a lot of weight in my mind, and I don't mind at all being the underdog and being ranked 6. And I am very confident that our team will turn a lot of heads this year, and we're very excited to do so. And you know, it's just a ranking to start the preseason. So there's a lot of games between now and nationals, and now and the end of the WCHL season. So we've got a lot to prove, and we're ready to do it.
Now, coaches can't vote for their own teams in the preseason rankings. So can you give us a little bit of insight into your own thought process as you were filling out the ballot?
Really just kind of what I told you, right? Just kind of looking how teams finished last year, and did a little bit of a little bit of a dive into what type of recruits they brought in, and where I thought they would stand. But there's not a whole lot of teams played last year, and kind of trying to figure out where they stand 2 years from the last time they played a game, or a year and a half from the last time they played a game. It's tough to do. So I just kind of went back, looked at previous teams and previous seasons, and where I thought they would be, and the teams that I know had strong recruiting classes and stuff like that.
All right. Well, now it's time to let Sooners fans ask the questions as we get into our mailbag segment. Our first question is from @Cody__Allen21 on Instagram. What do you think is the biggest strength and weakness of the team this year?
I would say our strength is definitely going to be our defending, defense wise. We've got a lot of really talented defensemen, and that's definitely the strength of our team. With that said, I wouldn't say we really have a major weakness, but I think if we play the right way and play the way that we as a staff want guys to play, we'll be fine. But if we don't, we try to, be fancy and cute and stuff like that, it'll be difficult for us to score goals. So that will be the one possible weakness is scoring goals. But as Matt and I have talked about before, we're going to be a very defensive structured team, and create plenty of scoring chances through playing good defense. So we'll be fine.
All right. Next up is @ConnorNorman1 on Twitter. Will you guys ever play the Oklahoma State hockey team? Yeah, a little background for those who may not be familiar. Hockey is returning to Oklahoma State after many, many, many years away. Their team is going to start in Division II this year, but is a true Bedlam rivalry something you'd be interested in getting going down the road?
Absolutely. I mean, we'd love to play any team, A, that's close by, and B, that would create a good atmosphere for fans and enjoy, something for fans to enjoy. So we would love to do so. I mean, we would love to play, Texas, and create some kind of, Red River rivalry on the ice, and, a true bedlam on the ice between Oklahoma State would be awesome for, the fans and both schools and the players. So it's definitely something we're looking into, and hopefully can have transpire over the next couple of years, if not sooner.
Awesome. Now, last question. A few people actually asked kind of variations of this. As a coach, what do you look for in prospective players?
A lot of it depends on the type of team we are and the type of players that we're losing in the previous season. With that said, I'm never going to be somebody that would turn down a talented hockey player. And so, finding out what type of player they are, and what type of players we're losing as far as seniors go, players that are moving on. And then kind of main thing for me as a coach is coachability. Are they a guy that's going to listen, that wants to get better, that still has the the drive to show up every day to practice and compete and try and get better? I'm never going to turn down a player that enjoys competing for a spot and competing every day in practice, and truly does have the drive to get better.
All right. Now, we're going to end with a segment that I like to call Your Top Line. And what's going to happen here is I'm going to name a thing, and you're going to give me your top line, or top three for those who might be unfamiliar with the hockey lingo, of that thing. You ready?
Ready.
All right. You've said that Brett Hull was one of the big reasons you got into hockey as a kid, but
Yep.
is that enough to make your top line of childhood sports heroes?
No, he's not. I would say that my top three would be Mike Modano, obviously a hockey fan or a hockey player growing up in Dallas, Texas. He was a big part of the hockey culture around there. Craig Ludwig was another one, just through my two closest friends were sons of his, so getting to know him, he was a good guy to look up to. And then third one I would say would probably Troy Aikman, as a Dallas sports fan and watching a lot of Dallas Cowboys games. He was a big part of that as a child, and how he conducted himself on the field and that type of thing. It was fun to watch.
Cool. All right. Now, our good friends over at the Hockey House recently wrapped up their Battle of the Barns tournament, where fans voted for the ACHA's best arena. Now, you've had a pretty well-traveled hockey career, so I want to know your top line of arenas that you've either played or coached in.
Let's see. So one of my favorite arenas to play in was my arena that we played in juniors. So the Deja Blue Arena in Frisco, back before, if you're familiar with it, back before they did their renovation and kind of expanded it in some areas, and in my opinion, kind of took some of the character out of it. And then playing at the University of Vermont when I was at Providence, my first hockey game was at the University of Vermont, and it was their first Hockey East hockey game, and it was one of the craziest environments I've ever played in. And I remember we had to take a timeout at one point, and we couldn't even hear the coach talking from 2 or 3 feet away. So it was a pretty cool experience altogether. And then, Liberty University, we haven't been there since they did their renovation, but I know that they've recently done a renovation and made it absolutely incredible, special place. And it was already awesome before that. And we played there a handful of times as when I was a player at OU, and it was always a blast, and we always enjoyed it. And so that would be my third one.
All right. Last one. Rolling Stone recently updated their list of the 500 greatest songs of all time. I'm not going to ask for your top 500, but I will ask for your top line. What do you got?
Okay. Big Stone Temple Pilots fan. So I would say that a song called Plush would be one of my top line. And then big Dave Matthews fan. So let's go with Two Step. And then finally, a big Pearl Jam fan. So Yellow, Ledbetter is definitely one of my top songs of all time.
All right. Well, hopefully your list gets a better reception than Rolling Stones. All right. Well, that is about all the time we have for this episode of Coast to Coast with Coach Miller. Be sure to tune in live on Black Dog Hockey as the Sooners host Arkansas this Friday and Saturday.